Hello everyone, you're highly welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you back, and in today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this armhole princess that bustier with asymmetric neckline and thus styling on the hem, as you can see. Okay, so this is what we're going to be learning how to make today, and I really urge you to stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Yes, it is very important, okay, to watch a tutorial to the end. It will give you the complete knowledge of what has been packed into the tutorial. It doesn't really help your learning process when you watch half and you leave the other one. No, you just have to stick to it to the end, and trust me, there will always be new thing to learn. Okay, so without saying much time, I have my paper here on the table, as you can see, and it's folded into two. So the first thing you're going to do is to get all your lines, and that is what you see me doing here. I measured from my shoulder, which is the starting line, and I mark chest line, bust point line, under bust, waist, then the length of the blouse I am making. Okay, so that is what you do as well. It is very important to do this and label them so that you don't get confused when you're working on it. So here is my shoulder, chest, bust point. Here is my under bust point. This is my waist. Then here now is my length. Okay, so I also added 1.5 inches extra to the length. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to measure sorry about that, to measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I mark it on the shoulder line and on the chest line as well. Then I'll slope my shoulder by 1 inch, as you're seeing here. Then mark my neck width of 3 inches, and I'll connect my shoulder slope with my ruler. Then next I will measure what I have on this line, which is 7 inches. I'm going to fold my tape into two like this to mark the midpoint. Then I will measure inward, starting from this line, half of an inch. Then I will measure my bust circumference, that is my round bust measurement, by 4. Then I'll mark it on the chest line. Then I'll pick up this ruler now and place it like this, making sure that it's touching all the points. Then I'll connect into a curvy form like this. So once this is done, then we have our front armhole curve. All right, so now I'm going to measure my dart. So this dart is gotten where you measure from one nipple to the other nipple. Whatever you have, you're going to divide it into two and mark like this. So I marked it on the bust point line, on the under bust point line, the waistline, then the length of my blouse. All right, so after marking, you're just going to get your ruler and connect the lines to form a straight line, as you see me do here. So after getting this straight line, it will be time for us to get what is called under bust contouring, or waist darts. Okay, so now I am going to be marking 2 inches starting from that straight line I just ruled. I'm going to be measuring and marking 2 inches. Can you see on this side? So I'll mark it on the waistline, bust point line, sorry, on the waistline, on the under bust point line, and on the length. Then on this side I am making use of 0.5 inches, that is just half an inch. I'll mark it. Now I'm going to get my ruler to connect into a straight line. So now you're going to connect from the under bust down to the length, and repeat the same process on this side as well. All right, so you can see that is what I just did. Now it's time for us to connect it to the bust point line like this in a curvy form. Okay, so to give us that shape, that bust like shape. Okay, the elevation around there, then I connected around here. Now remember, we are making a princess that bustier, right? So we're going to be connecting it into the midpoint of our armhole. So I'll just connect it like this, as you can see. Now we want to contour around our armhole to get a better fit. So I came down 1.25, okay, from that line. Then here I'll mark around 1 inch here on this upper part, right? Then I will pick up that ruler again and connect these 2 points here to the armhole. As you can see, I will connect it like this. Okay, Then I will also do the same thing on this other upper part. I will also connect like this. Okay, now here, as you can see, is a bit long while this side is short, right? So I'm going to be marking 1 inch extra upwards like this. Then I will connect it back to the chest line. This is to enable the shorter one to match up with the longer one where we are joining them. Do you understand? So I connected it this way, as you can see, and the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my circumferences. So my round bust measurement divided by 4, I mark it here. My round under bust measurement divided by 4, I mark it on the under bust line as well. Then I'm going to measure this that I took here, the 2 inches and the ½ inch, making it 2.5 inches, and I mark. Then my waist circumference divided by 4 also, I measured it and marked, then took the 2 inches half, 2.5 inches that intake and mark again, right? Then coming down here towards the length, I have my hip circumference divided by 4 marked here. That is what I'm marking. Then I measure the that leg again, which is 2.5, and I marked, right? So now it's time for me to connect all the points to have that shape that look like a human shape, right? So that is what you see me doing here. So I will connect all the lines together. So yes, I was done connecting the lines, as you can see here. So now we are going to mark our side dart. This side dart tells you the difference between the front half length and the back half length. So I marked 1 inch below the bust point line because that is the difference between my length, half length for the front and half length for the back. I hope you get that. Then the depth of my front neckline is 3 inches. This 3 inches depth neck depth is just for guidelines. Okay, please don't forget, because the neckline is going to be asymmetric neckline, so we're actually using that one to guide us, the 3 inches I just marked, right? So here we don't want to leave it pointed, hence the reason I am marking 1 inch like this, and I'll connect it to the side dart line. Okay, so that is what you see here, and I am shading all the parts that are not needed, the parts that are going to be removed one way or the other, right? So that is what I am doing here. So after this, I am going to pick up my scissors and I'm going to cut out. Okay, so I'm not cutting the neck yet. I'll cut through the shoulder, then through the side. I'm also going to close the side darts, okay, the darts on the side. So I want you to pay attention to that. You're just going to fold it like this, then stick it down with masking tape, and that is what you see me do here after I was done cutting, right? So you can see this is the one side of the front, then the center, and here I picked the second part of the center front, that is the second part of the sides front, sorry. So that is what I picked here. Now what I'm trying to do here is to make sure this one that doesn't have these lines also have the line. So I am in a sense trying to trace this line into the second side that doesn't have the lines yet. Okay, so that is what I am doing here. So you can see me marking the lines into it so that I can use my ruler to connect it and trace it so that it can look like this other one. This is very important because this one is the side where we are going to style the hem. Okay, this part and the center front is where we have our styling that appears on the hem. So can you see it? So now here is the waist. It is very important. So I'm bringing back the center front and this side front. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use my masking tape to tape it down on the wrong side here. I will tape them down so that they become one, and by so doing it will be easy for us to get our styling on the hem once they are fused into one or taped into one. Anyone, don't mind the English. So that is what you see me doing here. I will use my masking tape and I will just go on and tape it down. Okay, so I hope you're following along. Please, I want you all to follow along. Honestly, I want you to understand everything that I'm doing here. So having done that, I'll flip it back to the parts that have the mark on it. Okay, So now what we're going to do now, I'm going to mark this line, let it be very visible. Remember, this is our waistline, so it's very visible, and I am going to determine where I want the styling. You know, the styling is open, right? Where I want the styling to start from. So I want it to start 3 inches below the waistline. Now you can do 2 inches, you can also do 2.5 inches. It all depends on what your client or the owner of the cloth wants, all right? So mine is 3 inches below the waistline, and that is what I just marked. That is a new line and mark. Now the next thing I'm going to do is that on this midpoint here, I marked 1 inch, okay? Then on this upper part, on the new line, I'm marking, I just, a quarter of an inch is okay. Yes, a quarter or half an inch is okay. So I actually marked half an inch into it, and I'm just connecting this way, as you can see. So you see the way I connected, and I connect it into the side now. So remember, this side is often short, is always short. Like when you look at it, you see that why this side is short, the center front is longer, right? But remember, it all boils down again to what your client like or want. So my client doesn't want it to be too short, okay? So this side now is just going to be about just 1 inch shorter than the usual length or the normal length of the blouse, okay? In the case where your client wants it to be very short, go ahead, make it shorter with 2 inches, make it shorter with 3 inches, depending on what your client wants, okay? But please remember, don't go beyond what your client wants to avoid problem. So mine, if you look at it very well, you can see it's just 1 inch shorter than the usual length. That is how my client wants it to be, and I am respecting that. Okay, so I was not styling. There is no much problem around there. There's no issue at all. There's no issue styling this. All you know is to know exactly what the person you're making it for wants, and you're very good to go. It's not a difficult style. It is not at all. So please don't look at it as the style that is difficult. It is not in any way. So I proceeded to cut out, and that is just what you see me do here. So you can see what I have. This side is not too short because I don't want it to be too short, right? So yes, so here you can add an additional paper to make it longer if you wish, okay? So now it will be time for us to get the asymmetric neckline, and I am just going to tape these two again down this side like I did the hem. I will use my masking tape to, tape them down around here, okay? So I will turn them to the wrong side, as you can see here, and I am going to tape them down. So that is what I just did now, and I am going to, I use my tracing wheel to trace this line, and now use my marker to mark to it the neckline, right? That is what I did. So if you don't have tracing wheel, you can still cut it as long as you're using the 3 inches standard for the neckline, and you will not have issue. So here is the midpoint of my paper, okay? So now from this midpoint, I am marking my nipple point. That is the nipple point on the left, right? My nipple point on the left, that is what you see me marking here, okay? So now let me trace this bust chest line into the other side of the paper, and the same thing with the bust point line. I'll trace it into the other side of the paper. Okay, so I have done that, and I'm going to go up 2 inches above the chest line. Remember where my tape is placed right now is the chest line, and I'm just going to mark it into a straight line like this. So remember, 2 inches above my chest line. So that is like 4.5 inches above my nipple bust point line, sorry. So I use my ruler to connect it again. So now I'm just going to connect it all the way from here to meet this point, and I'll use my free hand to do that. So it's no big deal, it's not difficult. You're just going to blend it into this neckline and blend it until it gives you the exact shape you want, the way you feel is very okay. Okay, so next I will connect here now to the neckline like this, and you can see the asymmetric neckline is already in shape. Okay, so go ahead and blend like I'm blending, keep blending until you get your desired result. So I am going to mark out the part where I'll be replacing with my sequence fabric, and I am marking out about 3 inches, then here 2.5, then I'll connect like this. Okay, I will just connect, then here as I go down I'll make it 2 inches towards this point, as you can see. Okay, so I always say this to my physical students. These styles, they are not difficult at all you need to pay attention. And to you, my online people, my online lovers, you just have to, watch the video to the end. That's the secret. Watch to the end, that's the secret. So you see, after connecting with my free hand, I'm just using my ruler to, blend it and make it look the way I want it to look. Then I'll go on and cut out. So this is what I have. So now I am going to separate the center front from the side front and cut on my main fabric, after which you're going to come back to this. Okay, so let's go on, cut on our main fabric, and we'll come back to this, and also cut the back parts. Now I'm cutting the back part on the main fabric, right? So this is the length I marked, but I'm going to be explaining something first, and also mark out the zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. So I want to explain something here. Now remember, my back waist, that is the back half length and the front half length, they are not the same. So you see, I placed my tape from the front half length, I measured the remaining inches that make up the length, right? So I'm also going to measure the same, placing my tape on the half length for the back and measure the same. Okay, so please don't measure directly from the shoulder to get the length, because it will confuse you. In fact, it will make one longer and one shorter. So the front half length, let me still explain again. The front half length that I marked was 16 inches. Now this back one, I'm marking 15 inches. Do you see it? And that is the reason why I mark 1 inch side dart, because it is 1 inch that makes them different. One is 16 while one is 15. Take note. Now I place my tape on the half length for the back. Do you see? And I'll just measure to get exactly the same length I have for the front. All right, so that is what I'm doing. This point can't be overemphasized, yes, because it is very important. It is very important. So you see, I have exactly the same thing, and this part is going to be cut out at the end. So now, having done that, I'll just go ahead and label here shoulder, chest line, bust point, then waist, then the rest is the hem, that is the length. Okay, so now I am going to mark my shoulder to shoulder divided by 2, and on the chest line I'll mark the same thing, then take it straight to form a straight line, slope my shoulder by 1 inch. The neck width still remain 3 inches for the back. Neck width remain the same 3 inches as it is with the front, right? Then I will get my ruler, slope this way, as you can see. Then the next thing I am going to do now is to get the midpoint of this armhole by dividing the tape into 2 like this. Mark there and mark my bust circumference divided by 4 like this. Okay, so I will connect like this, and we have our back armhole line, or armhole curve as some love calling it. Okay, so here now I'm going to marking my dart. Now my dart still remains my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I mark it from the chest line, bust point line, waistline. Then I am measuring, I don't want the dart to go as long as the length. So I measured 5 inches below the waistline. Okay, 5 inches below the waistline, and I marked the same nipple to nipple, divided by 2 to it, and marked into a straight line. Now on both sides, I'll mark 0.5 inches here and here as well, and I'll use my ruler, connect this into the chest line, do the same thing on this side, and repeat the same process on this down part as well. So here you see I've done that, and I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, mark it on the bust point line, the chest line. Then my waist circumference divided by 4, I mark it again. I'll just measure what I have on this dart, and I'll replace it. Then on the length here, okay, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 also. Then I will just connect all the lines together like this to give us our body shape. And remember, I'm working directly on my main fabric. Here's the reason I'm marking my allowance. So I'm using 2 inches, and I'll just mark the 2 inches all the way, as you can see, and proceed to connect again. Okay, so for the neck depth, for the back, um I am going to okay, first let me measure 1 inch on the side here, the way we did for the front, before I forget. And I'm just blend it into the dot line like this. Okay, so that has been sorted out. So I was actually talking about the neckline for the back. Now my neckline for the back is going to be normal round neckline. Okay, I'm not going to making it asymmetric like the front. But if you would love to make it asymmetric, then I will refer you to one of my video that has the same asymmetric neckline for front and back. Go on and watch it, then you know how to do that. But for this one, I'm using the same round neck measurements, normal round neck measurement for the back of this blouse. Okay, so that is what you see me do here. And the next thing I'm going to do is to eliminate zipper bulge, and that's I'm doing by coming in 0.75 here. I will blend it towards the neckline like this, then blend this out towards the hemline like this, and that is all. Our back part is very ready right now, and I'll just get my scissors and I'll cut it out. So after cutting it out, I'm going to be showing you the next on the front part. We are going to get back to the front part. So here is the front part, the one of the side, and I cut it on my main fabric. I added 0.5 inches and 2 inches on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to be explaining something. Okay, I'm going to be explaining something. I'm bringing back the one of the back. Okay, the back that will correspond to this side of the front. Remember when I was cutting this part, now I made it 1 inch shorter, right? So now if you place it by the side of the back part that aligns, that is the left hand side of the back, you will find out that the back is longer because of making the side short when we're cutting the side, right? So what we're going to do is now to make them the same length, and that is what I'm doing by blending it into like this and curving through here. So this is very important, because if you don't do this, by the time you join the side, the back will become longer and this side will become shorter. It may not really occur to you immediately that you made it shorter, you made the side of the front shorter when we were cutting, right? So this is very important. So if I put it together now, you see that they are equal. So that has been sorted out. Okay, so please don't forget to add your allowances. Okay, it's very important. So this is the center front. I added 0.5 inches allowance on the neck. I also added on the side here into the hemline styling, and added 1 inch here instead of half inch, so that this place can be longer by 1 inch, and I also by half inch, sorry, and also added on other parts as well. So this is the remaining part of the side front, and I added 2 inches here, then half of an inch down here, half of an inch this side as well. So I'm going to unpin them and keep my fabric one side and bring back the paper so that we can cut the remaining part of the neckline. So that is what I'm going to do. So you see, I just did that, and I went on to mask them together, that is, use the tape to hold them down as one. Okay, so now if you notice this side, you see that I also replaced part of this side with my sequence fabric, and that is what I'm cutting. So if you like, you can make it straight like this, you can make it curved like this. It all depends on how you want to style it. Okay, people have styled this neckline differently the way they want it, so you can actually, diversify. So I'll proceed to cut out. So this part I'm cutting out now is the part that will be replaced with sequence fabric. If you remember, at the onset of this tutorial you saw it, right? So I'll set these ones aside, and I'll just cut out this part as well. Then I'll replace with my sequence fabric, and I'll go on and cut it on my sequence fabric and show you as well. So here I went on to cut it, adding 0.5 inches here, an extra fabric here, and 0.5 inches here as well. I did the same thing on this part, adding 0.5 inches, and that is all. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. See you some other time. Bye.